John Watts moves from spiders to wolves in this crime thriller comedy starring George Clooney and Brad Pitt that recently got pulled, unfortunately, from theatrical release and will now only be playing in very limited exhibition before landing on Apple TV Plus later this month on September 26th. I had a quite good time with the film. Sentiment that doesn't seem to be shared with the rest of the Venice audience. I'd say, unfortunately, but I also don't really care because this movie plays it really safe by the numbers. We had some great cinema experience in the last 2 years in Venice, including Hitman, Poor Things, and this year, we're going to talk about this in detail as well. Broken Rage was just a blast. And this being like this type of comedy that should land like every minute or so, it didn't have that type of response, but I still had a great time with it. It is like led by two charismatically annoying people, that are or like they're charismatically annoyed by each other, and that kind of escalates and gets messy when they are supposed to be like the people who clean up the mess and just kind of make it messier, and like that type of stuff. It gives a ground for a lot of jokes and a lot of bits, but I don't think it's anything fresh. It's nothing new, but it kind of does what it sets out to do. Doesn't exceed it. Doesn't really underwhelm. So I thought, this is okay. This is kind of solid. I don't mind it, but yeah. What did you think of it?
I just thought, Wolves is kind of like the same thing. You got Netflix, right? Netflix, their action movies are just usually below the bar, right? Like kind of trash, right?
Yeah.
Then you got Apple TV. Now they've recently done their thing too, Ungentlemanly Minister of Warfare is kind of from Apple, I believe, but co-producer. You got Instigators. You got Argyle. Now Argyle is like below Apple's trash, right? And you got Instigators, Ungentlemanly Minister of Warfare, and now Wolves are also just at that same bar of Apple TV action comedies. They're better than the Netflix ones, but they're nothing better than that, really. And that's what I found Wolves to be. The fact that both main stars, while obviously have great chemistry with each other, we know that from 3 Oceans movies they've done together. But, and they're fine with each other. But the fact they've both been given $35 million for this, it's like, the beginning is really good. I have found actually when they're going to that hotel room, they have this kind of really yappy dialogue with each other that I found to be great. But then we get outside of that hotel room, and that's where the movie really becomes quite stale. You have a middle person that enters the story that you're kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of hit or miss. And even the action, there almost isn't any, which surprised me because, you got John Watts, who I love from Cop Car. I know you don't love Cop Car, but I do. I really like Cop Car. But you also hate kids, and there are 2 kids in Cop Car, so that's why. But, Wolves, in the end, I just found to be okay. It kind of has a forced ending because the story could easily continue after that, but just freeze frames or just cuts to black. I don't remember which of the two. Comedy wise, there were a lot of misses, and there were some stops that both of them have to do because it's kind of like a buddy cop, but it's more like a buddy hitman movie. Or like buddy fixer movie. They have to stop at some places. Some places work better. Some places involving like a Russian or like a Czechian. I don't know which one was just a mess as well. It was just okay. It's like a good time to put on in the background, but I gave it a 6 out of 10. It was okay, but nothing more than that.
Coming out of the theater, I gave it a 7 out of 10, but I've since come down on it. I found it interesting that the director's statement by John Watts states, like Le Samurai, Blast of Silence, Ghost Star, Collateral. He loves these movies about these professionals dedicated to the craft and always wanted to see them, like 2 of those guys working together. And I agree with you. The first stage of this mystery being set up as to why they are in the same place is actually intriguing.
Yeah.
Once we start to like unwind and figure out why that is, it just becomes a weird mess of twists and turns that aren't as intriguing and not funny enough to like carry the rest of the story. And then it doesn't deliver on the action enough to distract you from its actual story because the story becomes the main point, and it kind of lost me. I wasn't really like even trying to keep up with whatever. It didn't really matter to me, because like the charismatic interactions and like the banter between those two was the focus, and I enjoyed that quite a bit, which is why I kind of liked the film as a whole, because I thought like the banter at the core worked more often than not. Can't say it's great, but yeah, again, like it's streaming on Apple TV Plus, and no one has that service, unfortunately. But hey, you can also go see the 4-hour plus director's cut of Napoleon now. So there you go, if you want to use your free month of Apple TV Plus.